I had the opportunity yesterday to see the new film from YouTuber turned filmmaker Chris Stuckman, Shelby Oaks. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. We have daily film content, including movie reviews, movie news, and so much more. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. The film is written by none other than Chris Stuckman. It was written and directed by Chris Stuckman and executively produced by Mike Flanagan, the producer-director of films such as Dr. Sleep, Ouija, Origin of Evil, and he did a few other films, did a couple Netflix series, big in the horror genre, definitely a modern horror icon, I'd say. He executively produced the film, premiered at Fantastic Fest earlier this year, and it hit theaters everywhere not that long ago, maybe 2 weeks and a half ago, maybe? No, it came out on Thursday, so not even a week ago yet. Sorry, days are a little mixed up there. So I had the opportunity to see this last night, and I have to say I am pleasantly surprised by this one. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Overall, I think the film is not nowhere near perfect. It has its problems. However, for what it is, it's pretty fun and intriguing. The film opens pretty much as a found footage film. The opening is in 2008, and we follow these paranormal investigators as they go and kind of, do the paranormal investigations in all these haunted places throughout America. It starts off as YouTubers, kind of gives a Blair Witch Project feel to it. It very much, you can see the inspiration of 2008 just right there. MySpace, the birth of YouTube. It kind of is like a time capsule there for a minute. And while I'm sitting there watching this film, I'm just like, okay, please do not tell me this whole movie is going to be, a found footage kind of thing, just going through different YouTube videos and interviewing, the family members now and having flashbacks, or not really flashbacks, but more just clips of the YouTube episodes that they made. And it got the first 15 minutes. Again, I should start by saying I did not know anything about this movie going in. I just knew it was a horror film, and it was written and directed by Chris Stuckman. Other than that, I had no idea what the movie was about. Didn't watch any trailers for anything like that. So just as I'm watching it, I'm like, is this what the whole movie's going to be like? And I was a little taken back and kind of disappointed there. I mean, it was intriguing enough, but it felt very one-dimensional. All the characters just felt really kind of you didn't really, I'm waiting to see, okay, where's the story actually begin? Because it just kind of felt but once we kind of get past that initial point, I mean, it's interesting enough, but it's not really gripping. It actually kind of takes a turn, and the entire film in its entirety pretty much is about them trying to figure out what happened to them. So it's not a found footage film. It kind of plays on both kind of sides of that storytelling aspect, which I did like, and I thought was kind of intriguing that he uses both found footage and traditional storytelling elements to kind of combine them both to tell this story. Which again, I mean, it kind of holds you in. The beginning, it piques your interest, but it doesn't really grab you in. There was a point towards the beginning where I was like, is this the whole movie? And then it did kind of pick up, and we kind of introduced the sister, and it takes place 12 years later, and we kind of get the insight of what's going on, and and again, she's doing interviews, being interviewed about what all happened, and so on and so forth, and then we kind of get this insight of potentially what could have happened, and that kind of takes us down the rabbit hole. Now, it's interesting enough. It has a pretty easy story to follow. It has its horror moments. It has those those good. It builds suspense. He does a good job as far as telling a horror story. My issues with the film is the ending. It just doesn't really leave you feeling satisfied. It just was kind of bland. And there was a couple issues I will say with the film as far as a production standpoint. Throughout the whole movie, there was a lot of minor issues with the cinematography, lighting, just overall from a technical aspect. However, I will say, being this an indie kind of GoFundMe film, because he did use Kickstarter, I believe, to raise the money to make this movie. I believe he got $1.39 million raised to make this movie, which is no small amount. I mean, $1.39 million for a Kickstarter fund film is a huge amount. That's a big budget for a Kickstarter film. But again, in everything, when it's all said and done, that's not a huge budget. But given what they were doing, that's kind of a big budget, I'd say. Just everything kind of taking consideration. Although what I will say though is that I've seen better for less, and I've seen worse for more. So as far as budget goes and quality. So yeah, I mean there was some technical aspects, but I definitely would say I overlooked them pretty much completely because they weren't that god awful. I mean there was some issues, but it wasn't totally. It didn't really take you out of the movie. It's noticeable. It's not going to take you out of the movie. And again, indie film, Kickstarter. So for this being a first-time feature film, completely done on Kickstarter. I don't know Stugman's background as much. I know it's YouTuber. I know he was huge doing movie reviews and things of that nature. I think I might have worked with him on WeLiveFilm.com like back in 2012, but I'm not really sure. I know I worked with Jeremy Johnson there. Maybe Stuckman. So I don't know what his background in filmmaking is. I don't know what kind of team he had, putting this together. So, like I said, you do have some films that are these indie films that look really crisp. Like Paranormal Activity is made for like $15,000 and it looks really crisp for a $15,000 movie. Again, it's all shot found footage. And I think that's kind of where this kind of comes in. And I think some of the hate will come from is that it doesn't have that crisp feel. And the found footage scenes that are shot from these camcorders are actually the better quality in the film. They're the best quality shots. And I say that because they're not like of obscene quality, but in that aspect, when you're shooting a found footage film, the found footage is not supposed to be perfect. It just looks so good because of what to expect. So it's a really top tier found footage. And then your other moments, you could definitely tell they had some technical difficulties with like lighting and things of that nature. But I had to get to them first time out. Indie film, Kickstarter, no studio backing or anything that I would say had a big backing to kind of fall back on. They pulled this one off. Like I said, my only issue with the film is definitely the ending. Kind of felt it left me it just left this kind of unsatisfied feeling at the end. But other than that, it was actually a damn good movie. I will say that. I definitely enjoyed this one. Overall rating, I'd say I'm going to give this one full price. Go ahead and see this in theaters. I don't think you'd be too disappointed with a full price admission. It's a fun horror film. Like I said, I went in completely blind, so the beginning kind of threw me off a little bit for what I was in for, but he definitely kind of pivoted back. The minor issues I have from technical aspects and just things of that nature, they're noticeable but don't really pull you out of the film. Again, something that is definitely just in time for Halloween. It's in spooky season. I say check it out. I don't think you'd be that disappointed in it. So that being said, have you saw Shelby Oaks? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.